So, hello and good afternoon to everyone. We want to welcome you to our HR Power Hour for today. And today we will be covering employee wellness after COVID 19. A lot of the information we'll cover is definitely great uh, for any day, but definitely during these times, we thought that it would be a good idea to give some insight into dealing with stressors. So, without further ado, I am going to be introducing Sarah. I know a lot of you have been here before for our power hours, and welcome back. Sarah is the principal consultant and owner of EOS HR Consulting, and she recognized that we needed to have more information out there for our company owners, employees in this time, and to give as much information as we can and try to be a resource to you throughout this process. So, just some housekeeping items. Please put any questions that you may have in our Q&A. We are monitoring that, and you can ask questions there, and you can make comments in the chat. And so, Sarah, I will turn it over to you.
All right, thank you, Elisha. So today, as Elisha said, we're going to be talking about some of the signs of stress as we've gone through this incredibly unprecedented time, and making sure that we know what we're looking for, what is causing this stress, recognizing those symptoms, and then looking at different ways that we as employers can help the employees manage that, whether it's something that the employer can do or it's something you can recommend for the employee to do for themselves. And then at the end, we're going to actually wrap up with a mindfulness practice, so that you can see how easy it is to implement this into your day-to-day life and how helpful it can be. So one of the scariest things that I found out while I was researching to prepare for this is that a study was done after COVID-19, probably about a month ago, hit, and they recognized that more than almost 70% of the people say that COVID-19 is the most stressful time of their career. And this is actually more than any other major events, including 9/11 and the 2008 Great Recession. This was across demographics, including adults over the age of 55. So this is, the baby boomers and the people that are getting ready to retire. And 88% of workers reported experiencing moderate to extreme stress in the last 3 months, which I can totally relate to. I have been victim of that myself. So it has been a really stressful time for everybody. We are all struggling to kind of get through these changing times. But even before COVID-19 happened and we went into this pandemic sinkhole, we were already stressed out. And so pre-COVID-19, stressors were already there. And from a study from the MetLife Employee Benefit Trend Study, and this was actually just done, it's a report that shows both pre-COVID and post-COVID numbers. It showed that pre-COVID, 4 in 10 employees were struggling to navigate the demands that come with today's more flexible, always-on work-life world. And that 1 in 3 struggling employees took time off in the last 12 months because they were stressed out at work. Some of the personal things that show up as stressors for employees are headaches, increased depression, insomnia, heartburn, um, trouble breathing, weakened immune system, which if people are already stressed out, this is not where they do not want to have a weakened immune system right now as we go and as they're dealing with COVID-19, and that they're more apt to contract that disease. Risk of heart attack, high blood sugar, high blood pressure, stomach aches, and tense muscles. So these are all things that are physically happening to the body when you're stressed out. Um, there's also increased hormone levels. So cortisol is a big one that they talk about. And so you can see weight gain, you can see issues around that because of stress. And and then on the employer side, you also see work related things. So there's reduced productivity. People are not working as well as they used to. They're making mistakes. They're distracted. They're unmotivated. They can't concentrate. And eventually this leads to decline in engagement and loss of loyalty to the company if they feel like they are not getting the support they need there. So, some work related factors that can cause stress are long hours, having a heavy workload, changes in job duties. And, you know, we've talked about a lot of the things on this list in terms of managing people and best practices. We talk about this a lot with our clients. We're talking about this a lot on our Remote Strong series that I'm doing in partnership with Freedom Makers. And it's really important to have a good working management relationship with employees so that they're not experiencing these type of work related factors, these stress factors. You know, the lack of a good work environment, or being not having the right skills, making sure that you have people who are doing the right things and the right jobs. Those are all things that can create stress within that work environment. And then you start to add in the post COVID-19 factors, stress factors. Now they're afraid that they're going to get sick. They're afraid they have to take care of their children at home, and when they normally were expecting a daycare or a child care provider to do that, or they might have to take care of a family member who's sick. Their workload has changed if they're working. If they're working from home now, they may not have the tools that they were used to. They may not be used to all of the technology that they are required to do when they're working from home. So they're adapting to a different workspace or a different schedule. So this is just adding to all of those stressors and making it even more difficult for them to be able to manage that in a productive way. So what some of the things you need to look for as managers and as business owners when you're looking out for yourself or for your employees is looking for changes in behavior of the employee. So is that employee acting more angry all of the time? Do they seem to be in denial? Are they responsive to you? Do you feel like you had a great relationship and all of a sudden they're not responding to you? You feel like they're hiding things from you. Maybe they always look tired. Maybe they're always, you know, they're not answering their phone if you're working remotely right now, or if you are in a situation where you're working in an office, maybe they just always look like they're on the verge of tears. Or that they're making simple mistakes. They're making mistakes of that, you know, they know how to do, but now they're not able to make those correct decisions to move forward. These are all signs and symptoms of stress and of this anxiety that is building up within people. And a lot of times people don't recognize that these are symptoms of stress, and they just feel like, oh, if I could just get an extra hour of sleep, or if that person would just leave me alone, or if, you know, if I just had, you know, one more, you know, if I just had one more hour to get this work done, then I wouldn't have made that mistake. And it's really, it could be part of that, but a lot of it is that they're so stressed out and their brain is working and is so distracted that they can't even recognize that these symptoms are disrupting their work style, their work-life balance. So there's a number of ways that companies can support mental health. And the first one is an employee assistance program. And this is actually an outsourced program that the company either purchases solo or is included in something like a life insurance plan or a disability plan, but it's a very low cost. It's usually just a couple dollars a month per employee, and it offers confidential services for mental health, for legal health, for financial help. And it's something that the employee can call in and say, I'm an employee at EOS HR, and they can get services, and it's completely confidential. So the owner of the business, whoever the administrator of the plan is, doesn't know who's calling in, doesn't know why they're calling in. You might get a report that says somebody called in, but it's really truly confidential, and it usually gives anywhere from 3 to 5 sessions for the employee to get counseling in a certain aspect. And this can be a really good way, especially if you as a business owner feel uncomfortable with dealing with this. This is a good way to hand that off to somebody who has the tools and has the experience to be able to deal with issues for employees. You also want to be able to make reasonable accommodations when possible. And this could be something like changing schedules for people, changing changing what they're required to do. Right now, with the way things are and people are working from home and people are dealing with all these extra stressors, finding out, what is their schedule with their child, what do they have to do with their child, and rescheduling meetings or check-ins around that time so that they're not stressed out about trying to manage both their child and their workload. Make sure you give employees time to slow down and recognize that however long you think something should take, it probably in reality will take double that time. And now when they're stressed out, they need a little bit more length and a little bit more time to get those tasks completed. It's also important to create digital space for friendships, and we've talked about this before of like making sure that you are encouraging people when they're working remotely, that you're still checking in with them, that you're still encouraging coworkers to check in with each other, setting up something like an online coffee time, coffee break, and making sure that people can just chat and talk about what's going on in their life, and having that space to do that so that they're not feeling like, oh, all I have to do, I can only talk to them about work. I have to work, and letting that space to be like, hey, what's going on? How are you doing? What's happening this weekend? Are you, it's Memorial Day weekend. How are we going to celebrate this in a time when we really can't go out? What are we doing? Having that kind of conversation with people so that they feel that they're seen and heard, and not just a worker bee. Making sure you're setting boundaries for people to keep work lives and from overtaking their personal lives. Encouraging people, and sometimes this is, by example, to stop work, to go for a walk, to do something where you're encouraging them to make that split between the time they work and the time that they're not working, and what they're doing to take care of themselves. And that goes along with promoting good mental and physical health. And so some of the ways that employees or individuals can relieve stress goes right into promoting mental and physical health. I'm going to start on the right hand side and work our way back around, because we'll stop with meditation and mindfulness. But on this list you'll see exercise, but aromatherapy, so what aromatherapy is anything, kind of anything that smells good for in general, but in specifically we're talking about some herbs and plants that are known, scientifically known, to help reduce stress and to help calm the body down. And these are things like lavender, ylang ylang, chamomile. These are all things, when you smell them, lavender is great for putting in, they have the lavender iPads, so you can put those when you're trying to sleep to calm you down. Put it in bath salts, put it in anything that you get to smell and kind of inhale, and let, again, using breath, but let it calm you down, and let it calm your senses down. And you can do this with oil, you can do this with candles. We encourage you to do it with something natural, not some of the chemical things, but making sure that you're finding a natural source of that. um, but those are great, and that's scientifically proven that those can help. Talking to someone, again, we're all feeling very disconnected from people at this time. Making sure that people are actually reaching out, doing those coffee meetings or coffee hours with people, doing doing a happy hour with your friends, doing a brunch. I've Easter dinner, I had it with my entire family over Zoom. I mean, we're finding new and amazing ways to use digital technology when you just need to talk to somebody. Listening to music. Any kind of music is great. If it makes you happy, if it makes you want to get up and dance, that falls into the exercise category. But maybe it's something a little more soothing. Maybe it's, classical music, or some of the more kind of traditional meditative music that are Celtic and American Indian. They have very, very calming sounds and tones to them that can help calm the body down. um, Making sure you get enough sleep. So and if your body needs sleep, your body needs sleep. And so letting yourself have that time, not saying you have to get up at a certain time all the time. If your body needs to recuperate, that is one of the main ways that the body is regenerating, it's recuperating, it's healing itself. So making sure that you take time to get enough sleep. Writing it down. So this is about journaling, or so journaling could be just writing down what's going on, writing down your feelings, venting out something that's frustrating you. But it's also taking some time for gratitude. What are you grateful for? What is going well? Sometimes it's about focusing on the positive to push out the negative, and push away that, and realize that in our lives we're always going to have positive and negative, but you need to be focusing on the positive as much or more as a negative, so that the negative doesn't seem like it's so overwhelming. Exercise, we talked a little bit about dancing when you got the music going on, but just taking a walk. It doesn't have to be, going out. Obviously right now we can't go to the gym, but it doesn't need to be like working out for 2 hours and lifting weights and getting a ripped body. It's just about movement. It's just about getting the blood circulating and going and moving through your body, so it can start to heal. The body is this amazing machine that can heal itself if we treat it right. Which goes into eating well. So we need to feed the body, we need to feed the machine, and make sure that we're eating well and taking care of that. Things that are processed are going to counteract any good you're doing. So making sure that you get lots of water, you get lots of vegetables, all those things that will help your body break down and process through some of that stress. And then the last one is meditate. And this one we're going to spend a little more time on, and shifting the word from meditate to mindfulness. And it's important to distinguish between being mindful or having your mind full. And right now, most of the time, our mind is full. And this is something, I myself have been trying to practice more mindfulness and more yoga and more things where I'm practicing things to calm myself down. And I find I'm suddenly thinking about the car that drove by, or the thing that I need to do, or the task that didn't get done, or and it's really important in the practice to recognize that it's not about, doing it perfectly, but it's about coming back and just saying, okay, now that I've heard that, let me just let it go. Let me just be right here and enjoy the present and be mindful of what's going on. And there's some really great definitions of mindfulness. And this is actually from a website, ironically, called mindful.org. And so this is mindfulness is the basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on. And again, like I said, in those moments when I'm trying to meditate and I'm trying to be mindful, and this is not something that comes easily to me at all, because my brain is going, but to stop and be, okay, where was I was like, where am I right now? And just stopping and listening to your body and listening to your breath and just focusing on that and focus on what is happening right then. It's something that we all can do. It's not something that you have to have special powers to do, or not something that you have to conjure up. It's something that we all have the ability to do, but we need to take the time and practice it. And that is a really important word with mindfulness, is that this is a practice. It's not something that you know how to do or don't know how to do. It's something that you are continually learning how to do. And even people who do it all the time say there's some days that it's just really hard to do. But when you're doing that, it keeps you calm and it keeps you grounded. And so a couple of things about mindfulness is that this is not obscure or exotic. It's something we already do. Sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's mindfulness, sometimes it's thoughtfulness, sometimes it's gratitude. It's something that we're already doing. It's not something special that we need to add on to our lives. It's just being present in the moment. It's just thinking about what's happening right here and not thinking about what you're supposed to be, what you think you're supposed to be doing, or what you should have done before, or any of that. It's just being present with who you're with, even if it's with yourself, who you're with right now. You don't need to change anything. Whatever thoughts are your thoughts, and that's one of the benefits of it, is that if you end up drifting off into some obscure thought, that is your thought, and that's completely present for you. It can be transformative because anyone can do it, and it's a way of living. It's a way of calming down and slowing down and being aware of what's going on. It's evidence-based. And I'm going to show some studies, but this is actually scientifically, there's scientific proof and studies around how mindfulness works and helps the body. And it sparks innovation. There are many times that I will be in meditation, or I will be on a walk, or I will be doing something, and all of a sudden that problem that I was stumped on, that I had to walk away from my desk from, it all of a sudden it becomes clear. And sometimes it's just taking that time away from what you're doing and being mindful and being present in the moment, and everything becomes clear. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but what I just wanted to make sure that people understand that this is mindfulness is sort of the one of the key phrases right now, one of the hot topics. But it's been studied for a number of years, and they're really showing how this is affecting the work and being mindful improves job performance. It improves the level of, or it lowers the level of work-related stress. It improves job satisfaction. So all of these studies, and again, this is from positive psychology, so these are all psychological studies that have been done, are showing how this is taking a couple moments to be mindful, to stop and be present, is reducing stress, reducing anxiety, making our employees more productive, and and making our workplace and our work lives, where we spend a lot of our times, a better place to be. And the list goes on. There's lots and lots of places that this is coming out of. And so what we really wanted to kind of end on today is to encourage people to practice mindfulness, and to do it daily, and however that looks to you. And so what we're going to have a couple different practices that we're going to show you, but really it can take 1 minute, it can take an hour. You could spend the whole day being mindful if you really had the time and the space to do that, and wouldn't that be a wonderful world we lived in, where we could do that? But it really is about taking a moment and being present, and listening to what's really going on right here, right now. And so this first practice is called the stop practice, and it uses the letters from stop. And the S is to stop what you're doing, and wherever you are, get comfortable, whether you're seated or lying down. And again, this could be, you could just realize, you could feel that stress, and so you just need to stop. You need to take a few deep breaths, maybe through the nose initially, but then through the mouth, and just taking them slow. A good thing to do is a 4 count breath. So you count up for 4, hold for 4, down for 4, and hold for 4. So that's I think some people call that a box breath, or something, but kind of slowing your breath down. And then you begin to observe. So you observe where your body is tight or tense. If you you just want to be aware of the experience in the moment. Again, we're talking about mindfulness and being present. And so this is all about being present in that moment. And then the P is for proceed. And so this is just dropping in the question of what's most important for me to pay attention to right now. And what am I needing right now? Sorry. And so it's really taking that time to let all of the noise kind of dissipate, and focus on what you need to be paying attention to right now. And this could be that you need to pay attention to something that you're working on. It could be that you need to pay attention to yourself physically. It could be that you need to pay attention to something in your family. But really taking note, and your body and your mind will tell you, this is the most important thing that you need to do right now. And when you listen to that, it allows you to move forward and to reduce that stress, let that stress go, and gain more strength from that. The next practice we're going to do, I'm actually going to turn over to Elisha, and she's going to walk us through a 1-minute mindfulness practice.
So, hi, thank you, Sarah. So, I came into mindfulness practice back in 2013 as as I recently had separated from the military, and it was really just getting a lot of traction among the veterans community. And I was not necessarily a true believer at first, but I kept at it because it kind of, clicked to me in a way. And so this has been something that's been very helpful for me, and a lot of others. I've done a lot of training around it in the veteran community, but also now, kind of making sure that everyone knows that it's very accessible. So, again, like Sarah was saying, there's really no special way to do this. A lot of us sit at our desk a lot, but you can be on your couch, you can be in a chair, outside, on the patio, wherever feels comfortable for you. And really, for this practice, it just begins by bringing your attention to the sensation of your breathing. And so, trying to find a comfortable seat, bring that awareness to your breath. And if you feel comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can leave your eyes open. And as you start to feel that comfort in your seat, you're going to go ahead and direct your attention to the soles of your feet and just feeling the sensation there. No right or wrong in the moment. And perhaps you're noticing the pressure on the soles of your feet. And just bring your awareness to the sensation there. If your feet are cold or warm, just notice. And if you happen to see or feel your attention going to something else, that's fine. Just be very gentle in redirecting your attention back to your breath, back to your body. And as you continue to notice, start to notice the sensations in your ankles, up to your knees, up your thighs, the sensation of your left arm, and then of your right. And as you're bringing your attention to your breathing, notice your belly, the rise and the fall. Remember, you're not looking for anything, you're not looking for it to be any type of way. Scan up to your chin, maybe to your ears. What might you notice in the sounds around you? Those sounds don't disappear, they're always there, but noticing them in a different way than normal could be interesting. And finally, bring your attention to your top of your head. Maybe take one last deep breath. And if you have your eyes closed, you can open them when you're ready. And that's all. It's very accessible. It can be a very quick practice, or it can be something that you can do and it can last longer as well. And even if you just take 30 seconds, that was what was called like a mindful meditation body scan practice. And so it's just recognizing those sensations in your body. And once you recognize them, you kind of get the idea of your body more so relaxing. a little bit. And sometimes it's just little by little. Um, but hopefully that was helpful. There's a ton of different things out there that you may utilize, and that's just one that we wanted to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Elisha. Yes, and as I said before, this is a practice, so it's not a there's not a right or wrong way, and it's something that you can start with 30 seconds to a minute and build up from there as it starts to help you and you recognize that it helps you. So as we wrap up, we wanted to offer some resources to you. One is that if you are interested in some more in-depth training, either for yourself or your managers or for your employees, we encourage you and invite you to reach out to us, and we can set up a training for them. Some of the information and resources that I use today is mindful.org has a lot of good information. They also have some short guided meditations. I know for myself, especially starting out, I I needed somebody guiding me to keep me focused in a way, and so that might be helpful for some people. Headspace.com is another one that has some guided meditations. Mindfulnessexercises.com also has a couple of those. YouTube is a plethora. YouTube has everything. YouTube is almost like a Google, which is probably why it's owned by Google now. But it has the first two items on here are actually short animations about stress and about mindfulness and about and they're very sweet and they're only about 2.5 minutes long. But I invite you to look at those. I think they kind of explain it in a very short, succinct way, and so those are good. Yoga with Adriene is something that I've actually personally been using, and it's there. She does a lot of yoga practices for home practice practitioners, but she also does some meditation, guided meditation as well. Um, there's a number, if you want more on the descriptive side and why this works, there's a lot of TEDx talks on YouTube about how mindfulness and meditation and those processes can really help reduce stress. And then they also have a number of guided meditation sites. If you just type in mindfulness to YouTube, it will come up with thousands upon thousands of options, whether you want to more clinical information or more guided meditation information. So before we wrap up and open up for questions, I just wanted to remind you all if you want to take this stress off of your load, we are still offering to help write the pandemic policy packages. Remember that the FFCRA is in effect until the end of the year. And if you need help writing your emergency paid sick leave or your emergency Family Medical Leave Act policies, and making sure you understand what that process is, we are available to do that. You can register or sign up for that package at go.eoshr.com/COVID. And with that, oh, and one more thing, sorry, one more is next week we're continuing the Remote Strong webinar series where we will be talking about defining lanes of responsibility and authority. And this is actually one of the things that can cause stress in the workplace is when these lanes of responsibility and authority are not well defined. People don't know what they're responsible for or what or they don't understand where their authority is or how much or how little authority they have. And so that can cause conflict, which can result in stress. So you're invited to join us for that. That's next Thursday. It's a new time. We're doing it at 2:30 p.m. on Thursday, May 28th. And I hope that you can join us. You can register at go.eoshr.com/responsibility. And with that, I'd like to open it up to any questions we might have. Sorry, I have a little bug right flying around my face.
So we don't have any questions in the Q&A. We did receive a few thank yous for the training from a few people. So thank you all for that. Um, but it doesn't seem to be any questions right at this moment.
All right. Well, we'll leave it open for just a minute or two more, but thank you as always for joining us. If there is a topic that you would like us to talk about or like more information on, we are drifting out of COVID territory slowly, but we are looking for additional topics that you'd like to hear about. I will let you know that in 2 weeks we will be doing another HR Power Hour. That one we're going to do a Back to Work Part 2, where we will be digging into some of the questions about some more specific questions that have come up, some what ifs and different scenarios, so that people are prepared when your employees are coming back to work. If somebody were to get sick or a client were to come in who's sick, how do you deal with that? All of those different scenarios. We'll be going through some of those in 2 weeks. And so that will be on Friday, June 5th. Well, thank you, everybody. We are so happy you could join us, and we will talk to you soon.